There's an old saying that says the left will eat itself. Now, the left has a tendency to try to out left one another because if you are not too left, you are a conservative. You are a wrong thinker. And that's the problem with today's policies when it comes to the left. You can say, oh, you are for socialism. But if you disagree on one aspect when it comes to the left, they're going to hate you for it. And they're going to label you as an enemy. So what is Pete Buttigieg? So if you're not aware, Pete Buttigieg, he is a gay, or in this case, homosexual man who is running for the presidency. And you know what he tries to do? He tries to volunteer for the Salvation Army. Because apparently, doing some good deeds is, he considers it good, right? However, his very own people, his very own community that he fights for and that he's part of, attack him for it. Why? Because doing good for an organization that doesn't agree with your opinions is bad. You know what I mean? That's the problem. If you want to do good, you have to do good for the groups that supposedly support you. But apparently, volunteering for the Salvation Army, regardless of political opinions, apparently that's a bad thing to do, which I think is really idiotic. I don't like Pete Buttigieg's policies, but I actually give him some respect for volunteering for the Salvation Army. But apparently, his own group, his own community, are bashing him for it. So let's see what the Daily Wire has to say about this. The title reads, LGBT magazine blasts Buttigieg for volunteering at homophobic Salvation Army. Oops, sorry. Right. This is from today. The LGBT magazine Out has set its sights on Pete Buttigieg, the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, after a photo surfaced of him smiling while standing in front of the Salvation Army's signature red kettle during a charity drive. It lets see politicians using their platforms to give back to their communities during the holiday season, except when they do it with organizations that historically exclude LGBTQ plus people, writes the magazine. Okay, first of all, who the hell cares? Isn't it good that he's doing some good? That's my question. Like, sure, if the Salvation Army has its own opinions, okay, fine. I don't agree with them, but can we all agree that what he did was doing something good, giving to the community, without even getting paid for? He was volunteering. He was devoting his own time, his own resources to do something good. But the left, we all know they don't care about doing anything good. They care about outrage, getting a problem, blowing it out of proportion, but never solving it. What if Buttigieg did the same thing, but for let's say an organization that actually supports LGBTQ plus people? You think the media would be talking about it? Nope, because it doesn't create clicks, doesn't create outrage. Instead, they're going after Buttigieg, a homosexual man, for devoting his time, devoting his resources to volunteering in the Salvation Army. Sure, it doesn't. Even I'm pretty sure he knew. I'm pretty sure he knew that the Salvation Army doesn't agree with his lifestyle, but that's the beauty of it. It's tolerance. The Salvation Army didn't reject him for saying, oh, you are homosexual, Mr. Buttigieg. We can't accept your volunteer work. No, you know what they said? They said, yes. Okay, sure. We appreciate the help. Okay? I think it's really idiotic, to be honest, that they're bashing him for this. The gesture would be super nice of Buttigieg if the Salvation Army didn't have a well-documented history of discriminating against LGBTQ plus people in need. The magazine continues and proceeds to mention that in 2012, Salvation Army spokesperson George Hood told the Chicago Tribune that same-sex relationships run against the will of God. Okay, well if you have a problem with that, then don't get stuff from the Salvation Army. I mean, don't work with them. But I mean, they do good. The Salvation Army does do good. Just that they have a different view of what a marriage or relationship should be. But does that mean that what they do when they help people, does that mean it's a bad thing? No, right? But you want to know what you do? Instead of complaining about it, why don't you actually try to do something to solve it instead of complaining and blowing it out of proportion? Like Pete Buttigieg. He said, you know what? I don't agree with the Salvation Army. But everyone knows that the best thing to do to convince people is through doing good deeds. Showing that you are not the person they think you are. Right? For example, the Salvation Army thinks that same-sex relationships are bad. What is people just going to do? Actually, what sounds like the best way to convince the Salvation Army to change their minds? Shutting them down, attacking them, or doing good deeds? Doing good deeds is probably the best thing to do. Is it going to convince them? Probably, probably not. However, you're not going to win anyone over by simply, by basically attacking them, and attacking their properties or bashing them on Twitter. That's not going to help your cause. It's going to make you look worse. And they're going to say, see, we stand by our decision because these people are violent, right? The magazine, however, omits that Hood was speaking from the perspective of the church and theology, and the fact that Hood also claimed relationship between same-sex individuals is a personal choice that people have a right to make. Okay, so apparently they left that out. At the time, the Chicago Tribune even noted that the Salvation Army has stressed that discrimination on the basis of gender identification and sexual orientation is forbidden in its services, programs, and non-clergy employment, and that it has a policy of reporting such incidences of discrimination. The news organization also mentioned that the organization has made a habit of reaching out to LGBTQ groups to trying to find ways to work together. Although the myths about the Salvation Army have endured, the organization has been proactive about informing the public of misinformation as it has risen. As the Daily Wire previously reported, last month English singer Ellie Gooding, threatened to cancel a halftime show at an upcoming Dallas Cowboys football game, at which the Salvation Army was running a charity drive after her fans misguidedly informed her that the organization is anti-gay. Upon researching this, I have reached out to the Salvation Army and said that I would have no choice but to pull out unless they will quickly make a solid committed pledge or donation to the LGBT community, responded Gooding, according to Fox 4. I'm a committed philanthropist, as you probably know, and my heart has always been in helping the homeless, but supporting an anti-LGBTQ charity is clearly not something I would ever intentionally do. Then how about this? Instead of forcing them to donate their money to a charity that they do not want to donate to, why don't you, a so-called philanthropist, why don't you increase your donations to the so-called community that you feel are oppressed? Why don't you do that? Instead of forcing people to do the things they don't want to do, why don't you be an example? Lead by example. Show them. Show them how it's done instead of complaining. Instead of saying, no, you lead me or you lead this cause, not me. No, instead it's called leading by example. You want to convince the Salvation Army to start donating to LGBTQ groups and organizations? How about you lead by example? Guide them, convince them, not yell at them, not scream at them and tell them that they're wrong. That's not how you convince people. But you lead by example. Okay? But the controversy was short-lived, as Gooding promptly changed her mind about not performing after the Salvation Army assured her about all the work to do for the LGBTQ community. We'd like to thank Ellie Gooding and her fans for shedding light on misconceptions and encouraging others to learn the truth about the Salvation Army's mission to serve all without discrimination, said Commissioner David Hudson, National Commander of the Salvation Army, as reported by Fox Worth Star Telegram. We applaud her for taking the time to learn about the services we provide to the LGBT community. Regardless of race, ethnicity, orientation, or gender identity, we're committed to serving anyone in need, continued Hudson. Every day, we provide services such as shelter for the transgender community and resources for homeless youth, 40% of whom identify as gay or transgender. Ellie's performance in the 23rd Annual Salvation Army Kettle Kickoff during the Dallas Cowboys game, Thanksgiving, on CBS, will kick off a season of giving that helps support these and many other programs and services throughout the country. That includes the article. But like I said, the best way for you to actually win someone over is by leading by example, showing them that you are a good person, therefore somewhat erasing that misconception that you are a bad person, right? Because of your sexual orientation or your race or your practices, right? For example, when I see black people complaining that they are stereotyped as being violent, as being aggressive, as being criminals, you know what they do? They do actions that pretty much reinforce those beliefs. They are very hostile in many cases. Not all black people. No, I don't want you to say, "Oh, Carter is racist." But the people who complain about those things are the ones who reinforce that stereotype. They're the ones who are being very aggressive. They're the ones who are committing crimes. Look at Chicago, for example. There's a large amount of black crime in Chicago. But yet, the black community in Chicago complain that they're being seen as criminals. I mean, you want to know how you stop doing that? You want to know how you stop people misjudging you and mischaracterizing you? By doing the opposite, by proving them wrong. In my case, for example, I have a Keep America Great hat. And you want to know what people think of me when I see that hat? They think that I'm a bad person. And you want to know what I do? Instead of arguing with them, unless of course I have to, but instead of arguing with them, cursing them out, instead of doing that, you know what I do? I just say, "Hello, good morning." I show them good behavior. Because it's very hard in many cases to be mean to someone who's being nice to you. Unless you're a complete jerk and you're a complete monster, then that's a different issue, right? But that's how you do it. That's how you change people's minds. By leading by example, not by yelling at them, cursing at them, telling them they're wrong, and attacking them. That's not how you win people over. Why do you think Martin Luther King managed to succeed in his goals during the Civil Rights Movement? Instead of resisting violently, like the Southern Democrats, the Southern Democrats wanted him to do. You know what he did? He said, you know what? We're gonna peacefully protest. We're gonna show them. We're gonna show the world that we're not the people these people claim we are. And guess what happened? Now you do not have segregation. You do not have white only signs in public parks. You do not have white only signs in restaurants. You don't. You don't have white only water fountains. You wanna know why? Because Martin Luther King decided to say, you know what? We're gonna protest by proving these people that we're the exact opposite. The Salvation Army, they might have their own opinions. Sure, I might disagree with them, and I do. But you wanna know? What you wanna know? What you cannot deny that they've done good. And by criticizing Pete Buttigieg for volunteering, doing some good, because apparently the organization that he volunteered for is one that you do not agree with, I think it's really unfair. Well, let me know what you guys think about this. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Hit the notification button as well that you never miss an upload. And after you subscribe or you're a returning subscriber, I also recommend you do bookmark the page, because sometimes you won't be properly notified. And if you think this video is worthy of sharing, share it with your friends on social media. Facebook, Twitter, anyone you might think might be interested in this video. That helps me reach newer viewers, because YouTube doesn't like propping up independent political commentary such as myself. And I think that too, like I said, let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think the criticism for Buttigieg is fair? Do you agree with the Salvation Army's views? Do you disagree with them, but do you also respect what they do? And do you think that, and again, do you think that Buttigieg doing good is the point here, but the left clearly can't see that? They want you to do good for the organizations that they agree with, but if you do good for an organization that they don't agree with, then that's bad. Apparently, helping people, for them, is bad. As long as if the organization that they're working for, or even in next case volunteering, is the one that they don't agree with. Okay, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Speaking of the LGBT community, we're going to be talking about one of the most notorious quote-unquote transgender activists by the name of Jessica Yaniv. I thought that she was done after she lost her case with the whole waxing of the balls situation that was going on. But apparently she is back. So let's see, who's her next target. Would it be another salon, or another waxing company that supposedly waxes female genitalia, and in reality he has a male genitalia? Well, let's see. We're gonna find out in the next segment. So hopefully you guys can stick around for that. I'll see you guys in a little bit.